So a few weeks ago we hit you with a list of movie villains that beat the odds and actually won, and I made the very fair argument that in most horror movies the ending sees the villain defeated. A lot of people did not like this though, and they said, Amy, listen to me, most of the time actually the bad guys do win, and so to hear you out we've decided to list some more of those winners thanks to some of you in the comments pointing out some great entries and just a few more that you didn't mention. I've said it before and I'll say it again, life imitates art, and in movies more often than you'd think the bad guys do have the last laugh. So I'm Amy from What Culture, and here are 10 more horror movie villains who actually won. 10. Cecile and Justify, the Skeleton Key. It may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not sure that the bad guys of Skeleton Key were actually all that bad. The hoodoo practicing couple were enslaved, kept in servitude, and then lynched, but God forbid they saved themselves through a bit of dark magic, eh? It is unfortunate, of course, that a few innocent people got caught up in it, but I do struggle to blame them too much for using what tools they had for self-preservation. That being said, they are meant to be the movie's bad guys, so they still qualify for an entry on this list. In the movie, Caroline, a hospice worker, is hired to take care of the partially paralysed Ben by his wife, Violet. The two live in a plantation house out in New Orleans, only really close with their family's lawyer, Luke. Caroline gets suspicious that Ben's paralysis maybe has something to do with hoodoo magic, and of course she starts digging. In the end, she finds that Violet and Luke are actually Cecile and Justify inhabiting the bodies through magic. To keep themselves safe again like they did before, Cecile switches into Caroline's body so that her and Justify, in Luke's body, can escape again. They get to carry on living safely in other bodies, and the innocent folks get carted away to an unknown fate. So that's a win for hoodoo and an L for hospice workers everywhere. 9. The Mirror, Oculus. Well, it sucks to lose against an inanimate object, doesn't it? I mean, it's a bit embarrassing, really. Well, good thing you can't feel embarrassed when you're dead, because that really saved Karen Gillan's Kaylee some awkward conversations. As children, Kaylee and Tim have their family torn apart by the antics of a cursed mirror. It induces hallucinations, causing their father to kill their mother, and then Tim to have to shoot their father. In adulthood, Kaylee gets the mirror back to document its powers before destroying it, and her brother, having now been released from prison for killing their dad, joins her. Unfortunately, the mirror is more powerful than they were prepared for, and it's back to its old tricks immediately, making her kill her fiancé and sucking the siblings back into its delusions. In a desperate final effort to end things, Tim presses the kill switch that Kaylee installs that swings down a weight to smash the mirror. As he does this, the two of them are trapped in separate hallucinations, which means that he does not see that Kaylee is stood in front of the mirror at the time. Tim's action sees Kaylee killed as the weight crushes her neck, and once again he's arrested for murder, this time of his sister and her fiancé. The mirror has once again outsmarted them all. 8. Shooter, Secret Window. Getting away with murder can sometimes be something we do root for, like in that good old Shonda Rhimes series, How to Get Away with Murder. All those murders though, I totally wanted them to get away with because they were sort of justified. This guy, however, I did not want him to get away with murder. Secret Window is interesting because it introduces a protagonist and an antagonist, both of which it later reveals to be the same person. Shooter, the delusional and violent writer, is actually a personality of Mort, the paranoid and traumatized writer that is the central character. By the time Mort realizes that Shooter is a figment of his imagination, Shooter takes total control and becomes the fronting personality. Well, on realizing that Mort/Shooter has been the one doing the killing and the bad things all the time, one would hope that you'd be rooting for him to get caught. He is the bad guy after all, who has killed several people and also a dog. I mean, who kills a dog? This wife killer brutalizes multiple people and disposes of their bodies, and we end the movie with it implied that he'll get away with it forevermore as the corpses decay underneath his corn plants. 7. The Creeper, Jeepers Creepers. Whilst the Creeper didn't manage to kill off both of our main characters, this isn't because of a fault or failure of his own. It's more that he just fancied the one of them. Both main characters, Trish and Darry, were there, cornered and for the taking, but the Creeper only wanted Darry and Trish was thus spared. Although there wasn't some sort of total wipeout, the Creeper certainly did cause some havoc and murder a lot of people. The bit that really counts though is that it managed to complete its ritual. It emerges every 23 years to eat people and harvest body parts, and it managed to do just that. People were eaten and Darry's eyeballs were harvested. Boom, mission complete. At one point Trish was even nice enough to offer up herself for the Creeper to take instead of her brother, but it really did have its heart set on Darry. It could have taken them both and had an even bigger win, but alas, this win will suffice. 6. The Cult, Midsummer. The first of our Ari Aster entries on this list, because yes, of course there's two, Midsummer's central cult win in a big way. Not only do they manage to complete their ritual sacrifices with barely a hitch along the way, they also gain a May Queen who's not entirely unwilling to be there. You've got to imagine that not every Dany substitute has been overjoyed to be crowned queen, given that part of that seems to be to have all of your friends and boyfriend brutally killed. However, Dany is different. She's that special one that they're looking for. Her grief and confusion and betrayal are all compounded into a sort of relief at the end of it all, a smile breaking onto her face as her boyfriend burns alive behind her. It seems that Pele did some really quality recruiting this year, bringing in every person they needed and the perfect queen. The cult once again completes their ceremony, adds another blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman to their ranks, and gets away with all of it undetected. 5. Lena. Orphan, first kill. Not everything always goes to plan, but if in the end you manage to get out alive, then well, you've technically still won. That's the case for Esther, who's really Lena in Orphan First Kill. We know from the mere existence of Orphan, the movie, that she manages to survive and keep her secret by the end of the film, but along the way things don't quite go to plan for her. Posing as a missing American child after escaping an asylum, she's reunited with the parents of Esther, the real missing child, and incorporates herself into family life. Her mother grows suspicious as Esther has forgotten key details about her own life before and seems to have developed an uncannily good painting skill while she's been away. This obviously doesn't bode well for Esther, and she ends up ruining it all for herself when her false teeth fall out and her trusting father realises she's not who she says she is. So at this point it's not gone perfectly. She isn't part of an American family living happily ever after. However, she does manage to kill off old mom and pop and head on to the next family alive and unscathed. So in the end, she still got her way. 4. Mary Shaw. Dead silence. One of humanity's biggest mistakes was creating ventriloquist dummies, and I will stand by that statement to the very end. Dead silence is the perfect illustration of why these things are so goddamn scary, and its ending will solidify in you forever a deep-seated hatred of them. The big bad of this movie is Mary Shaw, a long-dead ventriloquist who collected dolls and treasured them as her own children. After a neighbourhood child's disappearance, Shaw was blamed and killed, and in the years since she's been haunting the bloodline of those who killed her. Main character Jamie claws his way to the end of the film, only to lose not just his pregnant wife, but his father too. In fact, he even finds that his father has been dead for ages already, and was being puppeted by a massive possessed doll controlled by Shaw. The movie ends with Shaw getting her ultimate revenge, killing Jamie off and adding him to her collection of human dolls, and thus putting a dead stop to the bloodline. Nothing more to say about this one, it really just is pretty horrific. 3. Lucifer. The Cleansing Hour. It's not all too frequently that we see a villain win and take over the entire world. It's hard to have that large an impact. The world is a big place. However, if you're set on world domination as your goal, then the obvious place to start is on the internet. The Cleansing Hour follows an online show that depicts a weekly exorcism. Obviously, all of these exorcisms are fake, but when a host's fiancé has to step in for that week's actor, things go wrong. It becomes clear that she has somehow actually become possessed for real, and after killing all the crew but the two hosts, she makes them spill all their secrets. They admit that the show is fake, that in the past one of them committed murder, and even that they turned a blind eye to known abuse in the Catholic Church. Eventually, the demon inside her reveals itself as Lucifer himself and uses the stream to possess every viewer currently watching, which at that point is almost 20 million. Around the world, possessed viewers attack mindlessly, and the film closes as the world succumbs to senseless violence. 2. The Aliens. The Seed. Oh, don't you just hate it when your girl's holiday's ruined by an incoming alien invasion? All these three gals wanted was to go out to the desert and have a nice relaxing time watching a meteor shower in the unpolluted skies, but it seems that that is just far too much to ask these days. After one alien falls from the sky into the backyard, the girls are pretty naive about the whole thing. They assume it to be some sort of injured wired animal, and they give it water and general kindness, and in return it hypnotizes and infects them. It's all downhill from the moment one of them pities the thing and brings it inside, exposing them all to its wily ways. In the end, two of the girls meet their maker via the alien's poisonous black goo infection, and the third has to watch in horror as hundreds of meteors fall from the sky, seemingly containing more aliens within them. Her friends are dead, she's stranded in the desert, and the alien apocalypse is descending. Not exactly the peaceful mini-break she had in mind, I'm sure. 1. Payman, Hereditary. It is such a spectacular win for the cult in Hereditary that I felt there was nowhere this entry could go other than in first place. The result of years of planning, of grooming and seeding ideas and working tiny details into the lives of a family right under their noses, The Rise of Payman is an unadulterated success. Hereditary has received enormous amounts of well-deserved praise in the years since its release, much of it focused on just how detailed and intricate the whole thing is. Practically from the very start, the film's gory end is seeded, in dialogue, in set design, and in otherwise unsuspecting characters. As we roll up to the big finale, we begin to realise that Payman's win is certain. Papa's been burned to death, Mama is sawing her own head off with piano wire, and the terrified son, and thus living heir to Payman's spirit, is running around like a headless chicken, even more so than his mum. After he takes a tumble from the window, the whole deal is done. We witness the treehouse filled with cultists, his dead sister's severed head, and the glowing light of a rising demonic force. It's perfect, it's powerful, and it was almost completely inevitable. And with that, we've reached the end of this list of 10 more horror movie villains who actually won. The more you start going down this rabbit hole, the more you find there really is so many, so let me know any more you would have included in the comments down below. Remember to check out whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day, and as always, I've been Amy from What Culture, and I'll catch you next time.